Hello guys, welcome back to our tutorial of n8n, the ultimate AI automation tool. Now let's start learning by what is data types in n8n because it is paramount for us to learn and understand what the different types of data types are before we get ahead with building some real robust automation systems. And this is pretty important because if you get stuck or if you get confused about some situations that you would encounter while building some workflows, is to know how you can possibly debug those situations and problems and work a way around them. So for this, it's really essential to have a knowledge about data types that's available in N8N. So to demonstrate the same, let's go to the edit fields node. Okay, so after getting in the configuration panel of your edit fields node, we are shown some fields to set over here. Now let's add a field and let's give it a name. Let's say text. And here you see a list of option of data types that you can choose from here. First of all, we have string, then number, then Boolean, then array, then object. Now let's understand them each one by one. A string is basically a fancy word for text. It inputs anything that's text-based, whether it's a name, whether it's a paragraph, whether it's any gibberish word, it would go straight in string. For example, if I input the word, let's say n8n, and select string, it would go straight as text. Well, this is in schema format, but if we view it in JSON, it comes in apostrophe in double apostrophe marks. And this is an indication that it is a text-based string. Now let's try giving it some number in case we would find something. Let's say 8. So, like you can see here, it does not accept any word except E because E is essentially a number that is 2.1734, the value. And when we check it, it shows no because it's still a word, although it may be read as 2.1734, but it's still a word. That's like we cannot see anything in JSON, table, or schema formats. It says no. But if we write something as a number, it will go on to show us a number like this. And having no apostrophe marks that's covering this number is an indication that this is in fact a number. Suppose we say this is an age. Well, 89 is a pretty old age to be honest, but yeah. Now let's try with the string. It still would go in string and result in a string, in a number that acts as a string with the apostrophe marks. Now next is the Boolean. In Boolean, we have no other option other than false and true. Now suppose I say whether I have a job It returns the value as false, and it's not in apostrophe marks. So we know that it's in Boolean format. Now, likewise, we can experiment the same with true. Here we get the true as the result. Next on is array. So array is just a combination of words or a collection of words that's grouped together. Now, if I write something like um, Nathan, comma, Andrew, it would produce the results. Oops, I just missed the apostrophe mark. Yep, so it's producing the array as this. And one more thing, arrays do accept other data types as well. Like suppose I write here 89, it will execute the following, indicating that arrays do accept any other data types apart from text. Now here's the interesting part, objects. In objects, you can choose whatever data type that you want without any limits. For example, if I write the same data type that we wrote before for arrays, we would end up getting the following output. Let me just try it real quick. So here if I wrote two lists of arrays, Nathan and Andrew, I got the error that names expects an object. So an object is typically the one that expects key value pairs. Suppose the key is name and the value is Andrew. So it expects the format in this manner. So to force this, we gotta hit the toggle ignore type conversion errors. So it just says that whatever the type it is originally, just format it regardless. So when we process this right now, it gives us an output in the JSON format like this. So it assumed that the key is names and the value is this one single object. Now this array is in double quotation marks because it is being processed as one whole object and not two names separately. So it's one object of two names. So I hope this clarifies the doubt that names is the key and this whole array is the object. Now if we go on, so now if we go on to understand this format, we already know that it's the typical JSON format. And if you were to write in JSON format anyways, you would just hit the JSON mode in which you would write anything over here. I'm taking an example of this. So this is an example of JSON object that I took. So when I execute the step, we get this output as it is. So you might also notice here that I have some nested objects over here. So it's an object within an object. So JSON mode is best when you wanna input the data types in nested format, in formats that have multiple data types in them, and is more complex than the usual data formats. And the manual mapping object method is best when the object is pretty simple and doesn't need a lot of writing or complex structures. Okay, so here you learned about the different data types that are present in n8n. And I hope these are useful when you go along to venture out and trying some new AI automation all by yourself. I can assure you that learning these data types will really help you in long run and avoid confusion while working with data and automations later on in your um, learning. So yeah, that's it for now. Let's learn and dive deep into the real automation systems in the next videos.